What's going on, people? I was watching Willie D, and he was talking about a video that he saw and that he's got posted on his Instagram page regarding this young boy, this kid, a fourth grader, that called his mom's a douchebag and threatened to call CPS. He said child support, but we know he meant CPS after she put her hands on him. And the reason why she put her hands on him was because he was extremely disrespectful. He refused to get off the video game, and he refused to go to bed at 10 o'clock. Now, I recall when I was growing up, we had to be in the bed at 7:30. I remember times, man, when Charlie Brown came on and different cartoons, especially during the holiday season. You know, we'd ask, can I stay up and watch Charlie Brown? And she would allow us. She would allow us to watch Charlie Brown, and as soon as it went off, we had to go to bed. And many times we fell asleep. We fell asleep watching Charlie Brown because back at that time, we were used to being in the house. We were used to being in the bed early. Now you have young kids that's preteen, that's around maybe 6 or 7, 8 or 9, and they're staying up as late as adults and even later than adults because they got so much to keep their mind occupied. Laptops, cell phones, video games, So the parents really lost control, mostly because of the fact that the system is against the parents, or that's against true parenting. Now, there's a difference between a parent that's being abusive towards their child and a parent that's disciplining their child. When you listen to this audio, the mother seems afraid, and she sound like she actually submitted to this young boy. When he started threatening about calling child support, he meant CPS, she humbled herself. Now, had that been me, it wouldn't have gotten that far. And I probably more than likely would have taken that video game and thrown it out the window. And then dealt with whatever consequences came as a result of that, because the way the kid was sounding, he's the type of kid who would start yelling, because when the mother submitted to him, then he started saying, "You're a bad mother, you're a bad mother, you're a bad mother, you're a douchebag, you're a douche, you're a douche," and was just saying some very disrespectful things to his moms. Now, I wouldn't tolerate that, personally speaking, regardless of what the law says. See, that game would have been smashed. And he threatened to call child support on me or child protective. That would be a blessing. It sounds like child protective service would be a blessing to that mom, because if they happen to come in at home and that mother lose custody of that child, he ends up in foster care, then he's going to be one of those kids that's going to grow up either homeless, or his excuse is going to be, I wasn't raised by my mother and father. I was raised in a foster home. I was bounced from one home to another. And then you have the public that will feel sorry for him. Now, the video games that he's playing are quite violent. Now, I'm not sure how old he is now. Willie D said he was in the 4th grade. But he's got video games where blood is splattering, he's shooting, it's like he's in combat. And while he's talking to his mother, while he's arguing with his mother, he's playing this violent video game, which also gives me the mind that he might grow up and be one of those mass shooters. Okay, because these kids are being trained at a very young age on video games. But I'm not going to talk through the whole video. I'm going to let you guys listen to it. And then you guys can comment and feedback and tell me what you think about it. What would you do being a parent in a situation like this? What would you do if you had a child that was extremely disrespectful, like this child is in this video? Listen and tell me what you think.
And you're annoying.
Talking to me like that because I'm telling Dad. I'm going to talk to Dad.
Yeah, is Dad your father?
No, he's your father, and he's not going to be too happy.
Then why do you act like he's yours?
Nathan, smarten up and go to bed. You have to get up.
I already am smart. I'm going to 5th grade.
No, you're not. Because you know what? You don't listen to
Oh, yeah, I am. You're not.
You're not smartening up because you don't listen to your mother.
Who are you, Mrs. Government?
Let's go, please. Nathan, I said to shut it off. Why don't you listen to me?
Why do you act like Mrs. President?
I said to get off. I'm getting so sick of this every night.
Well, get out of my face and I'll shut it off.
Oh,
Jeez.
jeez. I say it nicely. Nathan, please. How many times have I called you? Every single night.
How's that nice of you?
Hey, go. I'm going to talk with you. I want you out.
Now I'm not shutting it off.
Yeah, you will.
Fine, God.
Is this what you want? Is this how I have to respond to you?
I don't know.
I talk to you and I
Constant child support right now. I'm done. I'm done.
Nathan, I didn't even hurt you. You hurt me every time you don't listen to me. Do you understand me?
Child support phone number.
Nathan, don't you dare.
I will.
You will never have a mother again.
That's your fault.
You don't do that to me.
Hit yourself with a complete douchebag. What's wrong?
You know what,
with
Nathan? Start listening. Okay? That's being a
That's the only solution, hitting.
No, it's not.
Then don't do it.
But you know what, Nathan? Start listening. And maybe Mom won't have to respond like that.
Well, you know what? You're
Now I see
a
why
bad
you-
mother. You're a bad mother.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Well, you're a bad son because you don't listen.
Go ahead. Tell me what you want to say. It's not going to offend me because you're
It's not going to affect me either because I'm sick of this. Listen
to
to me.
Get out of my face.
Go to bed. Now I know why your father asked
Well, you know what? If you're going to be a complete douche like that, then I won't shut it down.
Talk to me like that. I gave you life. And you treat me
The only
like
thing
that.
The only thing you're trying to specifically give me right now is a bunch of bruises because you don't know how to parent properly.
No,
Crap.
that's not true.
It is true.
Nathan, I asked you, please go to bed. You have to get up in the morning.
Yes, hitting me in the head a million times
Yeah,
asking, get the heck out of my room.
You know what, Nathan? I didn't hit you when I asked you. I said it, Nathan. I called to you since 10:30. Actually, 20 after.
Yeah, and you said I can stay on.
No, I said I want you off by 10.
You know what, you should really keep your words because you said I could stay on for a little bit longer. And
I
you
said
still keep causing bull crap.
Nathan, I said at 10 o'clock. Please get up so you can go to bed and watch a show.
And then you said I can stay up longer, so bull
No, I
crap.
didn't.
Bull crap.
You know what? Stop talking to me like that. Your friends act better than you.
Cool, I don't care.
Go to bed now. You better listen.
No, because you kept hitting me.
Nathan,
You
do
can
it again.
No!
Then go to bed.
God, you're annoying.
Is that how I have to respond to you? I don't like that.
I don't like you either. You're a bad mother! You're a bad mother! You're a bad mother! You're a bad mother! Hey everyone! My mom thinks hitting is the only solution! Lionel, stop! Come on!
That's enough.
Well, it's true.
Go to bed. You don't holler like that.
You think it's such a big deal about me not going to bed at stupid 10:30? It's such a big deal that you hit your own son? You shouldn't even be hitting your son in the first place. Terrible mother you are.
I don't mean to do that. The next time,
If you don't end it up, then don't do it all.
then listen to me. Stop making
Well, you know what?
me
Even if I didn't listen,
million times.
even if I didn't listen, you shouldn't be the douchebag who hits their own
Stop
son.
calling me that.
Well, yeah.
You're the douchebag son
Well,
that can't go to bed when
Well,
he's
you know
10.
what? If you're gonna have a problem with being called those names, then then you're gonna have.
They're not gonna start calling
And it's
you
your
that.
problem because you're the person that even brought it up.
Well, they're not gonna start calling you that because you call me that.
And that
I
makes
guess
you
you
even,
like that.
And that makes you even more of one.
Well, that makes you more of one too. It goes both ways. Go to bed.
You're a douchebag.
Ethan,
Yeah, you said you're gonna call me one. Call me one. I'm not gonna be
go to
offended.
bed. I'm done.
No, I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
I'm not offended by you. Go to bed. I've had it.
Yeah, sure you're not. If you're not offended, then why are you crying like a little baby?
I'm not even crying. Go to bed.
You were. You're like, why don't you respect me?
That's not showing me any respect.
Well, you know what?
Computer.
Well, you know what? You don't need respect if you're gonna be hitting your son, physically hitting your son, and claiming you're gonna call them names like that.
I don't do that.
So basically, you don't even deserve the stuff that you want.
Nathan, what is your problem?
What is your problem?
If you're pissed because Dad and I aren't together, you're not going to take it out on me. I don't care anymore. Is that your problem?
No. The problem is that you're a bad parent.
No, I'm not, Nathan.
The one that you... Oh, really? Then what the heck was that crap?
I am tired of you. This is my phone.
What was that crap
Raise
the
your
past
voice to
20
me.
minutes
You don't
ago?
raise your voice to me. Ever. You're going to start showing
Well,
respect
this is
to me.
raising their voice, too.
Go to bed now. I asked you too many times. I'm going
Well,
to bed way
let
too
me
late.
tell you something.
I have to go to
You
bed
might
in
as
5 hours. So don't you. Go to bed.
Okay. So first of all, if you actually want me to go to bed, then why do you keep bringing up a bunch of bull crap?
Go to bed, please.
I can't if you're bringing up bull crap. You should realize that by now.
I don't see you going.
Yeah, and I don't see you leaving, so I actually can do the specific task.
Stop yelling. Do you understand me?
I'm not yelling. You're the one being a mental retard.
Oh, God. You're going to regret it.
Yeah, and one of these days, you're not going to have me. So same thing goes with you. And want me to tell you something, Mom? The funny thing is that you already lost yours.
Let's go to bed.
I don't even care if you wake me up
Do you want to
early.
get wrapped again? Because that is how I have to respond to you. Is that what you want? For me to hit
I don't
you?
know. Do you want me to call child support? And you're...
This is the result of a broken home. You know, the father left the home and the child is acting out. It takes my mind back to when my oldest son, which is now in his 30s, was in elementary school. And I occasionally sneak up to the school just to check on him, sit back and observe him and watch him to see what he's doing. I stayed on him, right? And the teachers, they appreciate that. They respect that because, you know, we're living in times where many parents just let their kids do what they want to do. I mean, there's times I walked into the school and you had like little kids cursing the teacher out. They were using words that a lot of adults wouldn't even use, that I wouldn't even use. And they were cursing the teacher out. I mean, little nothings. You know, it couldn't have been like maybe in the second grade and using very extreme vulgar language, which they are a product of their environment. And a lot of the outbursts that a lot of these kids have is a result of broken homes. And you hear the mother in the video say, you know, he's upset because, you know, she and the father broke up. But the moms have to be strong enough to keep the house in order when the father leaves. Doesn't matter if he's going to work, you still have to be in control. You can't always use the excuse that wait till your dad get home or I'm going to tell your father. That right there are signs that you have lost control, that you've become powerless. When you have to say, when your dad gets home, I'm going to tell him, I'm going to call your dad, right there is saying that you have become powerless. You have no power. And no parent should allow their child to see their weakness. Because if you listen to this video, and apparently he must have seen her cry because he started mocking her because she was crying. right? So, and then he had the nerve to say, get out my room. Like, I pay the rent here. There's no way a child is going to tell me, I don't care how old they are. My son is in his 30s, and there's no way he's going to talk to me that way. So, how could that child sit there and tell her, get out my room, and then she obeys him because she's afraid of the system? Now, it takes my mind back to when my son was in elementary school, and I went there to check up on him. And there was this little white kid that was acted out in class, just like this kid was, in this video. And he was cursing the teacher out, and he refused to sit down, and he was, throwing the desk and making all kind of noise. So seeing that kind of reaction, it kind of get under my skin. I don't like seeing stuff like that, right? So after I checked out on my son, I called him out there, talked to him, asked him if everything is okay. Is there anything he needs? And again, the teachers appreciate that. It got to the point where I didn't even have to sign in when I went into the school. I just walked into school and went up to his class. And when the principal saw me, she's like, okay, how you doing, Mr. Such and Such? I'll sign you in. So I just went on up to his classroom. But the kid was sitting there making a lot of noise, and the teacher didn't have control. And he was just sitting there making very annoying noise with that desk, kept banging on that desk. So before I got ready to go, I said, can I talk to him for a second? Because I used to work with kids like that in the system. Elm Crest Children's Center, Catholic Charities, they had like non-secure detention facilities where I worked in, coming up. Sometimes I may volunteer, but I wanted to volunteer, but they wouldn't let me volunteer. They had to pay me. They said they had to pay me, so they paid me, right? But I used to work with kids like that. And so I had said to her, I said, can I go talk to him? Now, she wasn't supposed to do that. I said, you don't mind if I talk to him? The woman was so frustrated, she says, okay, go ahead. So I went down and I sat and I'm looking at this little kid. I said, what's the problem? And he's sitting there knocking on the desk. And I said, don't do that. And the knocking stopped, right? Which let me know I had his attention. So he viewed that the teacher, the woman, as a weakness. When a man figure walked up and said, don't do that, I didn't raise my voice. I just said, don't do that. And he stopped. I said, no, what's the problem? And he's throwing his little body around. And so I just started talking to him. But one thing I mentioned to him was like, how are things at home? And what I found out was his mother and father broke up. He was acting out because his father was no longer in the home. So I told him, I said, well, number one, I don't think your parents would appreciate, your mom or your dad appreciate you here acting up in school like this. You didn't come to school, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so I kind of lectured him like I would lecture my sons. So I said, now what I want you to do, I want you to get back in that classroom. You sit down and you do your work like you're supposed to. Do you understand me? And he said, yes, sir. I said, now get up and go. He got up and politely walked back in the classroom, sat down. I said, don't have me to come back up here. You hear me? And I walked out and she was like, the teacher was like, oh, thank you, mister. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right? And I left. But that just goes to show that a lot of these kids you see that's acting out, even they take it into their adulthood. From their childhood to their adulthood, they act out drugs, violence, alcohol, even sexual crimes, rape, what have you. That stuff comes, a lot of that stuff comes from their childhood, man. It comes from broken homes, And you have sons, especially sons, that will lash out at the moms because they think that the moms is the reason why the father's not in the home. So a lot of females, a lot of women have to really be careful when you start trying to use the children as a weapon against that man. I'm not going to allow you to see my kids. I'm going to take you to court for more child support. And then you start tacking on things. Well, he's got recreation after school and health insurance, and I need more money for this, and I need more money for that. And the only thing that you're focusing on is trying to hurt that man's pockets. And you don't realize that you're actually hurting that child because the child is sitting back watching that. That child hears what you say in the dark. And what I mean by in the dark is he hears what you say away from the father. The father don't hear the conversations that that child hears in the house. And a lot of times that child would internalize those thoughts and would come up with their own conclusion that you're the reason why the dad is not there. And so when they start lashing out, when you start losing control like that, in many cases, a lot of y'all end up calling the father or threatening the child. You're going to go live with your dad. You're going to go live with your dad. You're going to go live with your dad. Right? So a lot of this is because of the fact that dads are not in the home and moms are weaponizing their kids. You know, you're not thinking the best interest of the child. You're not making sure your child is safe. And I'm not speaking safe as, you know, free from harm from people outside of the home. That child has to be safe being inside the home. Their mind has to rest. You can tell a child that's being taken care of because that child tends to be a happy child, tends to be a creative child. And people on the outside would notice like, wow, that's a really happy child. That's a reflection on the home. But if the home is uprooted and there's problems in the home, then that's going to also reflect too when that child goes out in the public and start dealing with his classmates. That's where a lot of the bullying comes from. Because that's that child's way of taking his or her aggression out on other children. See, the parent is too big for the child to handle, so they go to school and take their aggression out on the other child, the weakest child. They find the weakest child and they would take advantage. Just like the kid in this video, in this audio, when he realized that the mom's was weak, that she was crying, that she walked away from him, that he now had authority, he became even a lot bolder in what he had to say to her. Still playing the video game. Ignoring her, telling her, get out of my room. I'm going to call child protective on you. Right? Because he was in control. The mother lost control. Because I'm sure the mother's going through a lot of emotional issues herself. Because of the fact she's in the midst of a broken home. The home is broken. The father's gone. She probably still has feelings for the father. He's probably got another family, another girlfriend. He's moved on. Now she's left with the baggage. A baggage now that's blaming her for the fact that the dad is not there. And he sees your weakness. That child sees your weakness. So he's going to play. He's going to take advantage of that. So I just found that to be interesting. There's a lot more I can say on this topic because this is the reason why we have mass shooters. This is the reason why we have rapists and murderers and drug dealers. And this is the reason why there are so many homeless kids on the street. Because they're brought up in a home where they just don't feel safe. And when you don't feel safe, fear sets in. That's where that fight or flight comes into play. You're either going to stay there and you're going to fight or you're going to leave. You're going to run away. So, feedback, tell me what you think. If you got anything out of this video, I encourage you to click on the Cash App and leave an offering. Support this channel. Until next time, I'm fearless.